Hello, everyone. My name is Gary Fowler, and it is great to be here today. I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor. I've done 17 companies, been involved in 2 unicorns on the original management team at Click Software, which is sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang about 5.5 years ago. Love artificial intelligence, love quantum computing, and like making a little dent in the universe. So it's with that, I have the great pleasure of introducing John Sung Kim. So many of you have heard recently last week that Five9 was sold to Zoom for $14.7 billion. Now we got the real story from the founding CEO when he started in his apartment in San Francisco. He did his undergraduate work at Penn State University, Berkeley, and then to Memphis for his Master's of Fine Art. Entrepreneur, investor, and all around cool and interesting guy. And so it's great to have him here. Hi, John. How you doing today?
Thanks, Gary. I don't know that I could live up to the cool moniker, but I'll try. I'll try.
I mean, John, listen, you started in your apartment. The company sold to $14.7 billion, to Zoom. It's incredible. Seriously. I mean, how does it feel for you? You've gone from a journey from Miracosta, through Memphis. How does it feel? I mean, is it like, can you believe it? Is it, how's it feel to you?
Well, it's funny. There was a band that was super popular in the 90s, I think, called Jamiroquai. I don't know if you remember Jamiroquai.
He's my neighbor over in the UK. We lived at South Sussex Mews, and I started an e-commerce company. Literally, he was in the next townhouse.
Are you kidding? Okay.
Yeah.
So the lead singer, his name was also JK.
Yeah.
And I remember someone asked him, what do you think about the overnight success of Jamiroquai? And he got suddenly really offended. And he said, oh, you mean the 10-year overnight success story?
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of uncharacteristic for him. And I just remember seeing that as a young person thinking, why is he so triggered from that? And now I understand why, right? The journey, as you know, and a lot of founders that have been at successful or moderately successful companies know, success is a journey defined in different stages, right? So when I started Five9, the first success was just having the guts to quit Charles Schwab. It's a great company. To quit a stable job and do something that you don't have any idea how to do. And I don't think, if I suspect, Gary, you're a little bit like me. Every new venture is completely different than the one before. So you always feel like you're Sisyphus rolling this rock uphill, right? Or as I say to my team, I love driving the struggle bus. The Zoom acquisition is the final kind of success stage for the company. But for me, a 10% bump in stock price to take away my ticker symbol. I mean, I created and invented the product. I assembled the founding team together. I was the head of sales, the head of support, the head of product, the head of marketing. Took it to $10-20 million ARR. And, Five9 really was named after me because I'm 5'9". And the ticker symbol.
I was going to ask you, how the hell did you come up with the name?
Well, I couldn't say, because, in 2000, the short Korean guy was not supposed to be the CEO, right? It was supposed to be the tall guy from Stanford, who was not a person of color. And so I told people Five9 means 99.999% uptime. But really, secretly, I had named it because I'm short. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to show the world what short guys can do. And so it became a ticker symbol, a 10% bump in stock price to take away my ticker symbol. It's great. It's great.
I mean, it's got to be extraordinary. You know what I mean? I'm sure I've seen some of your pictures on Facebook. You've got your boat. You got a nice house in Florida. I mean, beautiful wife. I mean, you've got like a lot of. It's amazing, and congratulations, because it's part of the journey, right? It's just. I talk to startups all over the world. This morning I was talking to startups in India and Africa. And it's about hope and belief. And I keep telling them, you go through these struggles as a startup. It ain't easy, right? It's not. There's turns, there's twists to get to a $14.7 billion exit. There's a lot of twists in the road and a lot of challenges. And maybe you're not going to make payroll one month because you didn't, do something right. You got to, borrow the money. It's just the way it is.
Absolutely. And look, you don't need to hit 14 billion or even $1 billion to be successful in this game. I think, number one, if you're honest with yourself, why you want to create a startup, and if it's to make, $10 million, or it's to have financial freedom, or it's to feel like you're your own boss, you want to prove that women techies can lead. Those are all noble ambitions, and you don't need to create $1 billion company to do that. You could create a company that makes $1 million, $2 million a year. You have 10 employees that you treat great. You come home to your life partner or your spouse and you feel like you're in control of your destiny and you're building something for the long term that you own and is a reflection of your ideas, your personality, your values. Man, that's success. Getting hung up on the billion versus 10 billion, to me, it's not really what matters. What matters is that you tried, and even if you failed, you're going to try again. The third time, you're going to, build a $10 million a year software company or hardware company or services company. It's all good. I think the thing that I've learned, because now I'm on my third startup at JetBridge, is if you're working, you're grinding so that in 5 years when you have an exit, this money is going to come. The money's going to change you. It's going to make you taller than 5'9". It's going to make you better looking. It's going to have more attractive people attracted to you. None of that happens. And unless you're incredibly vapid with a 95 IQ, in which case you won't be successful in this game anyway, that stuff is going to, the Ferraris, that stuff is going to bore the crap out of you at about day 50, right? And so what I've learned is just the act of enjoying the struggle, as I say, driving the struggle bus, that's success. And you're building something every day and you see that it's growing and, it's a reflection of your productivity and your vision and values. That's success. I think the billion or the million or whatever it is, it's just, I think it's unfortunate we focus on the dollar figures.
Yeah, no, but it's, it's something to shoot for. And when you talk to people all over the world, it's just a dream. And it's the belief in things that can come true. You've got your degree in liberal studies from Penn State with chemistry and English, from what I read. And then you went over to chemistry, and then, you got a Master of Fine Arts in Memphis. So, you've had a different kind of background, technical a bit with chemistry, but you really, you had a different background. And at the same time, you believe in your dreams. And from my perspective, when I talk to, we work in 24 countries today with startups, primarily in AI, quantum computing, cybersecurity. And I tell them all the time, it's about, you got to believe in yourself, look in yourself in the mirror, because it's not about your wife. It's not about your team. It's about you. Because at the end of the day, if you can't look yourself in the mirror and say, listen, I believe in you and love you, and you can do this. And I'm not saying narcissistically, it's really hard because there are days where it sucks, right?
Absolutely. And there's days that it's great as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, I will say this, because this is a constant debate, is what does it take to be successful? It takes 100 IQ. That's the average IQ. It takes a 100 IQ. It takes enough emotional intelligence where you're willing to abandon your original idea and keep pivoting the idea until you find true product market fit, not hopeful product market fit. I see a lot of that too. Mm-hmm. And just hard work. That's it. Anyone can do what I did. I didn't have any connections. I'm the product of public school. I grew up working my parents' liquor store. So I learned some things, right? Like how not to panic when someone points a gun at your face. But really, if I can do it, anyone can do it. The biggest blocker I see is people, as you say, Gary, they don't believe they can do it. They think it's some tall D1 athlete that played ball for Stanford and then went to GSB. They can do it and they got the breaks, and it's not fortunate that I didn't get those breaks, and I'm not a 6'4" volleyball player that crushed 1,500 on the SAT. You don't need any of that to build a unicorn. You don't need any of that. You need to have the guts to quit your job, a 100 IQ, the emotional intelligence to abandon the puppy and quickly adopt new puppies, and hard work. That's it. That is it. And if you're an American or you were born in London and you're in London, you've got the platform already, right?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's so when you were going down through it, so you've done, I know not only 5.9, but you got JetBridge now, you've got Cario, Dr. Base, which you started, it was sold to Cario, right?
Yeah.
So when you were going down through these different, did you come to the point where you were, did you ever come to a day where you said, something, I got to really lather my team up. This is a hard day. And, let's get over it and cheer them up and rah in a positive way. Do you have to do that with your team when you're creating a unicorn? How is it from your perspective?
Yeah. Companies change and human beings behave differently. The size of the herd, right? So, when your startup is 5 people, there's no office politics, right? 14, 15 people, everything still feels like you guys and gals are a Navy SEAL team. Right around 45 people, some political arguments start happening. At 115 people, it's a different organization, right? You have to fight the temptation to act like a 1,000-person organization that's already made it. You haven't made it. You're 115 employees. By the American Chamber of Commerce, you're still considered a small business. And then when you hit 400, 500 people, the temptation to not act like a 4,000, 5,000 employee organization, right? Because I've seen 400-person organizations move as quickly as a Fortune 500 company with the same ego of a Fortune 500 company. And it's a mistake, often a deadly one, right? So to answer your question, I think motivating your troops first starts with motivating yourself. So I was not a believer in meditation, but it ended up helping a lot. I wasn't a big believer in yoga. It ended up helping a lot. But look, I've had Blue Mondays before, and my secret is not to go into work. Maybe this is TMI, but now I'm married, so my wife would kill me if I did this. So it would not be good for my health. But, when I was a bachelor running, my first 2 startups, of course you're going to have a Blue Monday. An enterprise customer is going to call you and cancel the pilot. And one of your key software engineers is going to quit for Facebook. And when it was a soul crushing day, I would work from home. I would go downstairs to my kitchen. And I kid you not, I would crack open a beer.
Oh, that's
9:30 a.m. 9:30 a.m. I would crack open a beer and I would sip on this beer, work from my laptop, and think, today sucks and I don't want to see my team seeing me down. And we can all have that. We are all allowed to have our Blue Mondays. Here's the thing, though. On Tuesday, you better get the F out of bed and hop up, take a cold shower, and go to your team with a new plan, right? Or a new idea, or a new feeling of energy and enthusiasm. But I let myself have those, Blue Mondays. And I think, at least for people like me, because I can be a little bit, fragile, Gary, those Blue Mondays were important. I'm not saying drink beers early in the morning, but that's what worked for me.
No, I understand. You know what I do? A lot of times I'll go out early in the morning and I'll take a bike ride and I'll ride 12 or 15 miles and just think and just, once you get past about 6 or 7 miles, the last thing you're thinking about is work. It gives you a chance to free your mind and come in fresh. And so I've done that, different things to sometimes get out and drive in the car, take a little drive for half an hour just to clear the space and reset. But, the thing, John, we're dealing in Africa with GSD. We're curating those AI companies there. I see the same kind of thing, the hopes and the dreams. I was in Russia, like you. I believe you were in the Ukraine. I was in Russia and the Ukraine. I'm actually the co-chair of AmCham in Russia today of the technology committee.
Mm.
And one of the things that we did is I remember how important that hope and visualization and having that positive attitudes. When I started my first accelerator, the people would get down and they would start saying, "Oh, in Russian, taki tak, so maybe может быть нет," all this kind of stuff. And I said, guys, forget about this negative crap. You got to be thinking about how you can do it, not how you can't do it. Mother Teresa said it's not about stop war, it's about pro peace. Can we do it? And guys, listen, this is the greatest time, in the universe with the amount of data around us, how much we need to do. 49 zettabytes of data, 35 times if we have CDs or DVDs stacked to the moon, that much data growing at 68% a year. Guess what? There's opportunities. We're all in a state of infobesity. And so we solve these issues. And if we don't do it, right, these are the opportunities now. Think about ways, I don't know about this with you, John. I just, I wanted to pass it by you, but in your own personal cloud, you're a really smart guy. But how many times, every week does somebody say, "Hey, John, I sent you an email. And where did you send it?" "Well, I sent it to your Gmail account or Yahoo account." "When did you send it?" "I sent it 2 weeks ago." "Can you send it again? I can't find it." I mean, it's like across the board. It doesn't matter what country. We can't find things anymore because there are about 300,000 items in the personal cloud. About 257,000 websites were in 1996, doubling every year. In 5 years, it'll be 10 million with the IoT. We are in a deep crap. Physics professor, quantum physicist from Harvard. I had the same conversation with her. Astronaut from NASA, same conversation. 4-star admiral, same conversation. It's like we have to do something about it. And technologies that you're developing, technologies are out there that make the world a better place. We got a lot of challenges in front of us that we need to resolve, but we can really do it together. And it's I got to tell you, you're my hero. And I'm telling you, like doing what you've done. I grew up on a farm in Pennsylvania on the side of a mountain in a 500-person village. Amish to the right, Mennonites on the left. I graduated at the bottom quartile of my class because I only cared about martial arts and tennis. But then I went to school and things changed a bit. I'm not a technologist. I was a clinical psychologist. So I came at it from a different angle. But today, it's the main thing is, do you believe that you can do it and you've proven it. So tell me a little bit what you're doing with JetBridge, because this is your exciting new project, the next generation. I know you're doing mentoring Eastern European software developers. By the way, I did that too for a while. So I worked in Russia doing it, the Ukraine and doing it, Belarus. I was doing algorithmic math and physics, that kind of thing. So, and then you're placing them with top funded VCs in the Valley, correct?
Yeah. So JetBridge, which is exactly jetandbridge.com, started really as our cover and excuse to stay and party in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
So my CTO, Misha, and I from our previous startup, we sold our digital healthcare company, DoctorBase, to Cario, a great cloud-based digital healthcare company in Los Angeles. And we had nothing to do. So we traveled around Eastern Europe. We fell in love with Ukraine. We fell in love with a couple of Ukrainians, one of which is my wife, and the other is Misha, my partner's fiance now. And we needed an excuse to stay beyond our 90-day visa. So we thought, hey, let's create a software outsourcing company. That's like the simplest thing to do. And it turned out it's really a global problem. And it's a problem for everyone, for the customer, for a VC-backed company in the United States going offshore. The success rate of getting a commercially competent software developer is very low. By our technical test standards, only 2.5% of international software developers pass our technical tests. Mm-hmm. Now they can go to TopTool and Upwork and they can, put themselves in, get a contract with a dentist with an American Express card and $1 billion idea. But the fact is, a Stanford educated technical hiring manager, they're not going to pass her muster, right? So one of the things we found was it's incredibly difficult and time consuming for Western companies with money, with strong technical leadership to find commercially competent software developers offshore because they don't lurk for jobs on marketplaces. It's a negative unemployment rate with software developers. That's just not where they are anymore. But the other problem was with the software developers themselves. I met with countless outsourcing companies in Poland, Ukraine, all over Europe, all over Latin America. And the fact is, they are arbitraging their labor simply because a lot of smart software developers are good at math, but no one gave them a basic education on how to start a business.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I've spoken to outsourcing owners that don't. They think it's dangerous to launch programs like recently we partnered with Preply, great way to learn a foreign language, preply.com.
Mm-hmm.
And we give Preply away for free to our software engineers because we want their English to get better. You'll find at most outsourcing companies, they think this is a dangerous idea because if the software developers speak great English, they don't need the middleman anymore,
Mm-hmm.
right? So JetBridge evolved to international community of elite software developers. We're in Latin America, we're in Eastern Europe, but our goal is to take senior developers, full stack developers, and give them the platform to launch their own business.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that. We'll have to talk. I mean, what we do is we take it to the next mile. The thing that I found, especially being Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine, is that, and I lived over there for 14 years, so I have a little bit of experience. I found that one of the things that they have is that they have great expertise, but in terms of being able to take their company to the global market, they don't have it. It's not just there, by the way. So we're doing in Africa, Latin America, India today, Singapore. We're finding the same thing. It's like one is to get product market fit and go through an accelerator. Two is to have regional dominance. But the third and most important thing is how to go global and really scale your company like you've done, right? It's not that easy because at some point you got to have some contacts to be able to do it, and people believe in who you are. And it's hard if you're in Singapore trying to come over here and say, listen, here I am. This is a company I developed. It takes sometimes years. It's not so easy. So we're taking that last mile on GSD, and it's compassionate on one side because we're dealing with African startups all over Africa. So we're in Nigeria, and compassionate, not in an entitled way, because there's opportunity, right? There's AI talent that's untapped.
Right.
People haven't really gone after it because they're afraid, right. Or just like going to the Ukraine. How many people have come up to you and said, "Are you safe? Are you are you going to have problems?" That kind of thing. And so, but we see these talents all over the world, and there are creating companies. They've started to create things. There are not a lot of them, right? But they have started to do things in fintech and supply chain, and optimization algorithms, et cetera. And they've started to move down, and they have sales.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at Ukraine because you mentioned Ukraine. By the way, I feel safer in Ukraine than I do in San Francisco, for real.
Yeah. Where do you go into Ukraine, by the way, John? What city?
In Kyiv, the capital.
Because Chapel Street is a beautiful place, especially in the springtime.
I call it the New York City of Eastern Europe. It's so dynamic. It's so incredible. And there's so much young talent there. But, I just mentioned Preply, the world's best destination online to learn a new language is a Ukrainian company. People AI, which they've got to be nearing unicorn level. A Ukrainian company. A lot of people don't know Grammarly. They use Grammarly every day, and they don't know it's made in Ukraine. You look at Ukraine's close neighbor, Estonia. This is a tiny country. Compared to its neighbors, it looks like, to use your words, a Mennonite village. There's 5 unicorns out of this tiny country. So things are happening. Things are happening quickly. I do think, though, that the average American that thinks that they're going to open up a dev shop in Ukraine and hire a bunch of talented engineers quickly, is in for a rude awakening, right? As you know, when you're going international, whether they're coming here to the US or we're going over there, it takes time. It takes a street team. It takes networking. It takes time to become intimate with the culture, with the people. But that's the wonderful thing about globalization, right? Is especially in tech, we're kind of our own race of people, techies, right? Because a techie from Nigeria can have a beer with a techie in Estonia, and they're speaking the same language. They have the same hopes and dreams. They probably have mutual friends and investors in common. And so, yeah, I mean, it's an exciting time to start a business in tech.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. By the way, my wife is half Ukrainian, half Russian. So my wife is from that area too. So just
my wife as well. My wife as well.
That's great. It's and you're living in Florida today. Did you move from California, or where are you today?
Yeah, our home in Noe Valley, which is was a boring, safe part of San Francisco. Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla have a home in that neighborhood. And we got a hot prowl burglary, which is when someone robs your house while you're sleeping. And on our third burglary, I did probably one of the dumbest things I ever did in my life, Gary. I decided to create a voter guide for SF moderates. And for that, two San Francisco politicians, maybe I shouldn't say who they are, but one of them called me a white supremacist. And I use my real picture on Twitter.
They called you white
Johnson Kim on Twitter. I use my real name and my real picture.
Wow.
This is the new face of white supremacy.
Wow.
And another one called me a Trump disinformation troll. And that's when we threw in the towel and decided, to move to Florida, along with half of our friends that moved to Florida or Austin, right?
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. So I'm down in Palm Beach and myself. So, we still, go out to California on occasion, but we're down in Palm Beach, and quite frankly, it's a lot cheaper. It feels a lot safer, and it's the taxes are a lot better. So
but the narrative, Gary, is that folks like you and I left because of taxes. And I'm just speaking for myself. I paid taxes. I paid millions of dollars to California, and happy to do it. But, if my wife doesn't feel safe and I have to constantly explain to her why communism is cool again, she doesn't understand it coming from a former Soviet Union country. And the politicians locally are not helping, but actually trying to hurt us for daring to have a voter guide. It just felt like it was time to get out of Dodge.
No, I agree with you. Same here. We were spending about a third of our time over in Eastern Europe, and before the pre-pandemic, and then we came down. I bought a place down here, I don't know, 5 years ago, and it's kind of interesting. So we're, you're incredible. You've done a lot of things that are just dreams come true. So all the viewers that are out there, just look at it. I know they're watching. We're in 24 countries, and they love seeing people just like yourself that have done it, starting from scratch. I like the story about the liquor store and, from Penn State to Memphis. I mean, it's in Berkeley. It's an incredible story. I mean, and that's what it's all about, and keeping your head on right, and understanding that, hey, listen, it is, it's somebody just write, life is a struggle in the chat. Living is finding meaning in that struggle. But that's what it's all about. And you got to stay positive. If you want to do it, it's stay positive, go for it, and then execute, get shit done. Because if you don't do it, nobody else is. As a founder of the company, that's your job, right? Your job is to get out there. Good, bad, or indifferent is to get it done, because you need to take care of those folks. You need to grow your business. And, we hope that they want to put a dent in the universe, just like you've done. So, more power to you. I'm really excited. Hope we get the chance to spend some time. I'm down here in Florida too with my wife. So sometime it would be great to get together. And
absolutely would love that. Would be honored. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to
meet your better half and have you meet Lisa.
Yeah, I would love it. So let's go down through to my guest. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of GSD Presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. John, what are some closing thoughts? And if people want to read about you, LinkedIn, or what's the best way for them to just, reach out?
I'm just John, JOHN, SUNG, Kim, KIM, on Twitter. You can send me a direct message. I really do try to respond to everyone because, when I started out, not everyone responded to me. And I always remembered the people that didn't respond. So I do try to respond to everyone. I use my real picture. So this you'll be able to spot me easily, the new face of white supremacy. The one thing I do want to say to your viewers, and I can't emphasize this enough, I swear to God, you are going to be successful in the startup entrepreneur game if, 1, you quit your job, 2, you have a 100 IQ, which is the average IQ score, 3, you have the emotional intelligence to keep pivoting until you find the golden sweet spot. Eventually you will. It may take 20, 30 tries, but you will. And 4, you're willing to work hard. If you're willing to do all 4 of these things, you're gonna be successful in tech. This space, ever since I was a kid, has just gotten bigger and bigger. One bubble burst replaced by 3 bigger bubbles. You're gonna be successful if you just have these 4 things.
I love it.
That is it.
I love it. So remember, John's 4 things, really important. Thank you, John, for taking time out of your busy schedule. I want to thank my audience for a special edition of GST Presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. I'll be back again tomorrow with another show. Stay tuned. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep smiling. Thanks, John. I appreciate it.